Welcome to the Real Chat Podcast,
where we talk business, lifestyle, and mindset.
For the modern entrepreneur.
I'm Baxter Colburn.
I'm Allyson Elise.
I'm Mandi Wilkie. Let's chat. Yeah, so I think chatting about where we've come in business is always fun to do, but looking also at it a little bit deeper than just what's paying our bills and what money's coming in, what money's going out, and really taking time to reflect on who has crossed our path over the time, and whether it was someone that was mentoring us, giving a piece of advice to us, helping us set boundaries. I think we've all realized that at the stage of the game that we're in, and I'm older than both of you, but I wouldn't say I've been doing this longer. Allie, I mean, you've been doing this
Allie
forever.
makes us both look like we're,
but I've been an entrepreneur for, almost 30 years.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy when you think about not in this role, but the role of an entrepreneur. So what would my old self advise and say to my young self? Or maybe also just reflecting on some people that have come and gone in our lives that we didn't recognize we maybe needed at that time. And now we look back and say, how would I have done that differently? So we touched a little bit about, in a previous episode, we talked about burning bridges, and I was fired from a job 7 years ago, which led me to what I'm doing now. And I couldn't be more grateful. But at the time it felt devastating. Yeah. But I chose not to throw that person under the bus. I chose not to make it public. Part of it probably was protecting my own integrity. I was embarrassed. Yeah. I mean, I think if you've ever been fired, if you've never been fired, it's embarrassing, especially when you're good at something and you have no reason. If you have a reason to be fired, fine, but I had no reason. But I handled it really, really well given the situation, I think. I'm not going to toot my own horn too much, but my 25-year-old self would not have handled it that way.
Right.
So I think evolving in it, and ironically, 3 years later, that business had met its demise, and I got a phone call saying, hey, would you have any interest in buying this business? And my quick answer was absolutely not. Not on your life. Not for $1 billion. Yeah. So I think in this episode, whether it's a season or an episode, we chatted a little bit about that, talking about also the things that we do differently now, but as well as what we've learned along the way, maybe some mistakes that we've made that have helped us become better, but then also the people. And really, as an entrepreneur, I do think, you said this, Baxter, recognizing that it's much bigger than the video camera in your hands. Yeah. Where do those relationships come from? Why are those people in our lives? How did it evolve us in our business and catapult us to the next level? Even if we didn't work with that person, but they came into our lives and they opened a door for us potentially. Yeah. So I'd love to just chat a little bit about that freely and really find out, was there somebody that came into your business that has become maybe a lifeline or a mentor or made you see things differently?
I will say too, I think one thing that in business, it's so hard I think what a lot of people do incorrectly, in my opinion, is that people look at people that come and go transactionally. Like that person was here for a season. Like, oh, great. Like that was an office clerk. That was a stocker at the grocery store. That was a production assistant for 5 months, right? Well, that was transactional. They helped with the needs and they're on their way, right? Type of thing. And people don't take the time to go the next level down and say, okay, but who are you? What are you? That type of thing. And maybe that's what makes us different. I don't know. And I know there's other people that are out there that care about that as well, but I've seen that a lot from other people of this person has moved on or whatever. I'm like, oh, what are they up to? Oh, I don't know. I don't care. I was like, oh, okay. Well, that transactionally was all you cared about. I'm like, got it. Interesting. But I think when you we've talked about this off air a little bit, but when you realize that more often than not, people come into our lives for more than just a moment, or there's a bigger reason behind it, right? Type of thing. I mean, I am grateful to work with a lot of different people on a given basis. And the amount of times I've stepped back or been sitting in my house in the middle of the night and been like, this is a lot bigger than whatever shoot I needed help with, or this, production assistant work for social media or whatever. I'm like, got it. Like there's so much more happening here that you don't know until you step back from the situation. And I think that is so much bigger for people, and you can treat people like people as opposed to a dollar figure or just a goods and services, like give me what I need and I'll give you what you need and be on your way, right, type of thing. And the best clients are like that too, right? You learn about that. But I was trying to think, as you were talking about, like people that have made a difference in my business the last 3 years. And I think there's a couple. I don't know if do you want names or do you want industries, or how do you want to do this? I guess. I mean,
for which part?
In the sense of like, is there specific people of like, like this person gave me a chance doing this, and therefore now this has happened.
I think it's whatever you're comfortable with.
It doesn't bother me. I mean, it doesn't, wherever, like type of thing. Like
I don't think anybody's gonna be mad if they get a little shout out.
I was gonna say, like, it's all positive things, right? So I'm not gonna be here and be like, and this person, and don't tell me about Allie and whatever. No, I would say truthfully, like, a couple of people that came to my mind immediately was the realtor Alex Young. Like Alex messaged me out of the blue. I remember emailing back and forth with him. The bow tie guy. Yep. The bow tie.
Yep. That's how I know him.
Yep. Exactly. To do listing videos for him. And I had no previous existence in that space at all. And because he had asked me, that opened that door to now what is one of the biggest revenue generators for my business, which is now vacation rentals. It's real estate adjacent, but because he gave me that chance and we did a ton of stuff together for a year and a half, 2 years, that then gave me the confidence to approach vacation rentals. And now I'm traveling all over the Midwest shooting vacation rentals. But without him, I would have maybe tried at some point, but the dots were never connected because he came to me and said, would you do this? And I'm like,
right.
Like, yeah, sure. Let's do it. Right.
Love
type of thing. So that was one for me. And we can rotate around or whatever you want to do, but that's one immediately that came to my mind. I was like that. I saw a clear, path shift because of that, of a message that I received of like, oh, I guess we're doing here. And now there's been this huge ripple effect because of one message.
To look where you are from back then to now is so cool in a business, to step back and say, wow, this is how much I've grown in just this one area. There could be so many other doors that open in the future that you don't even know yet that could be really cool. I personally cannot think for the life of me.
Allie's like, I've done it all. Nobody cares.
Everybody has an impact for me every single time I do anything. I mean, there are clients that I've met and come through and like connected with, and people that have shifted my perspective on how I want to serve and what I want to do and what I want my photography to mean to people. But I grew up with my business. I was a baby when I started my business. I didn't even know. We talked about that. My first wedding was on a cruise ship. And it's just like, I have always been like a yes photographer. I've always said yes to everything. Every opportunity that ever came my way, I was like, I don't know how to do that, but I'm going to figure out how to do it. And I'm going to learn. And it could be something really cool. And I was working at Walgreens, obviously, when I started my business. And I realized that some of the clientele that I really related to were the moms. And I don't think it has a reason that I became a mom at a young age, but being a mom has always been a part of my story. And it's always been really near and dear to my heart. And it's always been something that I've always wanted to grow in and be better at. Like, I think one of my biggest prides is my children, obviously, and being a mom. And I think probably the biggest like life lesson I think I learned was when I went through postpartum depression and anxiety after having my second child, and realizing that there's such a gap from societal support for moms at a specific time. And in my business, it really shifted how I wanted to show up for people, meaning moms that have had their babies and are either back to work or life is kind of back to normal and you don't have the people visiting you anymore. Where like when my son was 3 or 4 months old, my life felt really gray. It felt really dull. It felt really like, I'm just like living here. I'm just like coasting. And to be a bright light, or to be someone that provides a sense of support through my camera and to show someone how beautiful their life is, really shifted how my business operates. It really shifted the communication and the heart behind my work, and not just saying, okay, mom, sit with your baby and cuddle your kids, but really talk to them and engage with them and ask them questions that matter and show up. And I want to show you what your life looks like through my lens, because this season, it doesn't last forever. So that really shifted the course of my business. And that's really just within the past 3 years.
I love it.
And my business is 15 years old.
Yeah.
So I think I could sit here and say that there are mentors and people that I've talked to and amazing individuals that I look up to. But there are too many to name and too many to like say. And to be honest, I've built my business from the ground up by myself. I worked really, really hard. And I think it's really important to note that when you are an entrepreneur, you should be patting yourself on the back. You should be giving credit where credit is due, especially if it's you. Because
but why don't we?
Right.
But I'm asking the question like to the room though, like why?
Because it comes across as arrogant or selfish or boisterous or all of the things.
Yeah,
so
arrogant and full of yourself and I'm the best. But genuinely, I believe that when you are good at something, you should be celebrated for that.
Yeah.
And it's okay to say, hey, I love to document moms and I think I'm one of the best at it.
I would agree
and I
with
love
that.
doing it.
Yeah.
And I speak that into my existence so that I can always be better at it. At some point, I want to be better than I am today. I want to be better than I am in a year, whatever that looks like. I think there's weight to that. I think that it's really important as a business owner to have confidence in like saying that you can and will be the best at that.
Yeah.
You know, give yourself credit for building yourself up and growing and going through and navigating all the trials and tribulations of being a business owner.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I have a side tangent to that, but I want
Go
to
ahead.
So just going based off of the patting yourself on the back, I've had 2 instances in the last 2 weeks where I've received what I think are interesting compliments on the work that I do. And it got me into this discussion with Rachel at home about like the level of a compliment, like if you ask somebody, like if I said, what in your mind, what is a couple? Like what number is a couple in your mind, or many or a lot, right? Like type of thing. We all kind of have generally a different answer to that.
Yeah. Okay.
So that got me into, somebody paid me a compliment about my work and they said, there was about a video, like your video looks nice, ! And I was like, but why isn't it good? Why isn't it great? And I'm like, nice is still good.
Nice?
There was nothing wrong
nice?
with the compliment, but because they chose the word nice, and Rachel's going to listen to this in a few weeks and yell at me and be like, why do you like, because I'm like, it just got my brain going. I'm like, it's so hard to explain unless you are like creating something that people are physically looking at. Right. But it made me laugh because I was like, I don't know if I accept that compliment, because I was like, what's wrong with it? Nice is like, oh man,
we didn't receive it the way it was intended.
Correct. I'm like, if I told you to your friend, like, oh, Mandy's nice, you'd be like, okay. I'm like, well, Ally's great. Be like, does that now mean that Ally's better than you? Like, even though like I meant the same thing, right, across the board, like type of thing.
Right.
And it got my brain kind of spiraling. So I've had that debate with people about like, Rachel's like, just take the damn compliment, like just take it and be like, they liked your video, like be done with it. I was like, but
that's not what entrepreneurs
but they
do.
said nice, like what's wrong with nice, right, type of thing. That was that one. And then somebody else told me that my work was unique. And I was like, and there was nothing else, like no other,
like uniquely good,
no other follow-up. Yeah. They're
bad.
like, they're like, thank you for the videos you did. They were very unique. We'll let you know if we ever need something again in that style. And I was like, well, we'll never work together again. Yeah. I was like, what does that mean? Like it's unless like, I'm not making a physical product. All right. I'm not handing you a phone and being like, oh yeah, like I can feel it. I can touch it. Like you're making something that's digital that like is so subjective. You might like it. You might not like it. Right. Type of thing. And so for the client to be like, oh, it was unique. And I'm like, and anything else about
uniquely
that? Like,
good.
That's the hard part about entrepreneurship, I think.
And you don't want to fish for compliments, but also you're like, just tell me I'm pretty every once in a while, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not going to get a ton of them.
What's that?
Typically, you're not going to get a ton of them. I mean, you guys are in an industry where you're going to get more than the average entrepreneur. But an entrepreneur who, my boyfriend's son who sells vintage clothing, right? That's his job. He goes and finds vintage clothing. He resells it. When he sends it to someone, he doesn't get oh my God, this is incredible. I love it so much. You're amazing, right? People don't, I don't get it. I don't get that when I run their ad every month in a magazine.
the ad,
people are like, oh my God. I mean, now don't get me wrong. There are people that are like, oh, I love the ad. That's great. But it's not the kind of compliment that I'm going to get, that you're going to get after you shoot somebody's most precious moments of their life, right? That they're going to look at forever.
Yeah.
My clients are going to look at their ad until the next ad deadline comes, and then they're going to look at a different one and they're going to forget about that one. Your clients and yours are holding on to something for much longer.
Yeah.
So you want the compliments to be there. So how do you continue
I think
on?
there's a context with our line of work too.
Correct.
Where it's like, if I'm sending a client a gallery and they message me back and they say,
this is nice.
This is really nice.
There's an exclamation
wow,
point.
these are very
But
unique. I'll let you know if I would ever want you to come to document our family again. At that point, I take it, I've learned to be like, okay, that's not on me. That's on them. Like maybe they don't like how raw and authentic I've documented their family. Some people just genuinely don't know what to expect if they're not expecting it.
Right.
But in our
if they haven't followed you at all.
right.
Right.
In our line of work, there's a context. And we are doing something creative and serving it to either my client, who is just an average person with a family and kids, and they want their life documented, or they run a business and they want this,
branding video or
branding
social
video,
media
or they want
videos
their beautiful
image.
home, videoed, and whatever, their product videoed or whatever. So there's a context to that. And I think that we are overthinkers in that way, because
a level of interpretation.
There's like a list and it's like, amazing. Oh my God. Wow. Blew me out of the water. This is great. This is great is the top. And then they just should get better from there. Like, this is nice.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
And the person meant nothing, but I know this person, like he meant it in a nice way. And
Wait, the unique one?
No, I don't know the unique person in person, but the nice compliment. But Rachel pointed this out too, because I showed her the group text that I was 3 people. One person said, wow, video looks great, or wow, that turned out really awesome. And then this person came in with it's nice. And like, they probably didn't want to like double or triple up on the other stuff. I'm like, well, why not?
But it's like we said before on an earlier show, we think about the one client that's bothering us instead of the 79 that we like, right?
Correct. Yeah, 100%.
And so we do the same thing with the compliments.
Yes.
And we overanalyze everything. When I was in college, people used to tell me all the time, oh, you're so cute. Well, why can't I be pretty?
Right.
Or why can't I be beautiful?
Yeah.
Well, there's nothing wrong with being cute.
No.
Right.
But I didn't want to be cute. I wanted to be beautiful.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, oh, I'm fine if I'm cute. Today, I have a hat on backwards, a sweatshirt and leggings, and probably none of the above. But
stunning.
But we thrive as entrepreneurs on, we need those words of affirmation. I don't care who you are. If you own a business and you are an entrepreneur, somewhere along the way throughout the course of your week, you need somebody to reiterate that you are doing okay.
It's all worth it.
That you're doing okay.
Yep.
So
100%.
finding your tribe, maybe it's finding your tribe. Who is in your corner?
And your hype girls, right? Like in the Instagram comments after that one random girl posts a picture and all of her girls run in the comments like, yes, queen.
Yes,
like, so
queen.
pretty. You're like,
what does it take
oh
to
my
be a
gosh.
queen?
But like, those girls are there in a second, right? And
But really, honestly, who's your hype crowd? Like, who is your, and I feel like the podcast has a few of those. No matter what we post or what we do or what we wear or what we talk about, we've got 4 or 5 people that are always saying, 100%. Oh my gosh, I could relate to something, or oh my gosh, you looked cute today, or oh my gosh, I listened today. So how do you get those people, and how do you find a way to tell the people in your circle that you need those people? Because I think sometimes we do this with our best friends. We do this, like I was just thinking about this the other day. I didn't even send my best friend the picture of the puppy yet. And she knew I was getting a puppy. And I'm like, well, part of it's because I've been busy with the puppy, right? But then there's part of me that like, well, she knows I'm doing that. She knows it. I don't need to tell her that. But this is what we do. If you're good at something, or if I'm good at something, or if I connect you with someone, or if I do something, I don't need you to validate it, but it sure is nice
100%
when somebody does.
Yeah.
Right. And so what do we do? How do you do that as an entrepreneur? How do you ask somebody for that?
Yeah. I had Michaela and Joey from Little Sip. So we interviewed a couple weeks ago, right? They were over on Sunday just to watch the Packer game. And Michaela, they're 2 weeks into they started the same day I did, which I thought was fascinating, right? So we both kind of were going on the same journey. And she now, as a business owner, like understands kind of what I'm going through and vice versa, right, type of thing. And her taking the moment to ask me, she's like, how are you doing? Like, how is your business? Right, type of thing. Like, just in casual conversation, I was like, the whole room kind of like parted, and I was like, I can have this conversation because you and I are about to speak the same language, and not everybody else is going to get what's about to happen here. Right. So we were able to have this dialogue, and we were both like, oh yeah, me too. Or, oh really? I didn't like, just like that. Unless you're in it, you don't always get it, right? Like that is the important piece about finding, you know, that your tribe, right, as they say, or whatever it might be. Like it goes a long way, and to have those conversations, you want to have those hype people, and you never want to seem like, you said, we're fishing. We don't want to fish for compliments, but at the same time, like, especially in the creative world, I feel like you have to have something or some people that will build you up within reason, right? Like, because it's so subjective. Right. I have to remind myself of that. Like, I made a horrible mistake a couple of weeks ago. I almost never do this, where I never review a final video with the client in the room. Usually it's sent off and they look at it and they send me an email back or whatever, but I happened to get it back for a vacation rental client, and I was shooting another house and they were with me. I was like, hey, like, I just got the video done. Like, do you want to see it? And I knew as soon as I said that, I was like, shouldn't have done that. And so, like, a couple of people that were there, like, everybody kind of came around and like crowded around and like wanted to see it. And I was like, I literally like turned it on and I walked away, and I was like, check it out. I made some excuse to go do something, because I was like, stressed. This is so anxiety inducing, like being even within 50 yards of what's happening right now. And then I came back from whatever I faked I was doing, and I was like, oh, hey, what'd you think? And like, oh yeah, like, it was good. And I was like, you didn't like it. I'm like, crap. I was like, okay, but I'm like, this is so much harder in person, right? Type of thing, or whatever. And they're like, oh, like, but people I think immediately go to that, like, oh, could you change this, or could you do that? I'm like, yeah, and that's kind of what the purpose was. I'm like, it's not the final video. I'm like, tell me what you want me to change, and I'll make those changes, and that will be good, right? Type of thing. And I don't know. Do you ever have clients when you send stuff to them, or maybe when you've like spent all that work, you do it, you think it looks approved. Good on your end? Yeah, it's approved, or you send it and they say nothing. And then it shows up, right? Like
all the time.
Yeah. And it's like, they've posted it and they're like, oh my gosh, love that. Or when they don't even say anything, they don't even respond back to you. But I'm just like,
all the time.
I'm like, I'm glad you liked it, but like, even a thank you.
I feel like something like asking for transparency. I started, when I send my galleries, I started like putting a little context in that and saying, if you love the gallery, please message me back, email me back, tag me.
Correct.
Communicate with me. If there's anything that you need, I'm always here for you, because I have had so many times where I send people their pictures and then it's ghosted. They pay their bill and it's over, and then I never hear from them again.
Correct.
I mean, obviously I'm a business owner, I'm a photographer. There are people that bounce around photographers all the time. I'll see my photos, I'll take their pictures, and then I'll like see them get their photos taken with someone else. I'm like, okay, well, that's a clear statement that you don't even have to say. You don't have to talk about anything. That's a clear statement. You're like, the actions speak loud.
100%. Words, right? Like, but we're clearly not in business together anymore.
Yeah, which I think is okay. I think that if it just didn't work out, I mean, our business, you're free to go wherever you want. You can choose whatever you want to, wherever you want to go. On my end,
right?
Go wherever you want.
But communication is key.
I mean, do you take it personally if they don't say anything?
At times.
Like if Mandy's taking photos with you, and then a week later she's taking photos with me, and like type of thing. Like I'm just curious.
I don't take photos with either of you, and then I keep
doesn't.
it super neutral.
I am. I don't know. In that situation, I'm not really sure. I feel like,
and maybe not Mandy, but like whatever. Client A, right, is working with you for whatever, and then instead they now swap over to me or whoever, right?
Would I take that personally?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a really.
Without telling you, saying, hey, thank you so much.
Without any context.
Like, we're going to go over here now. Right? Or like maybe one of your branding people might be different, right? As opposed to a family.
I would take it personally if I felt weird vibes during the session.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sorry, no.
Sense.
There are some people I'm like, yes, please go work with somebody else.
I would not take it as personally if I was feeling weird vibes in the session. Like, let's say that I'm taking your pictures, you're client A, and you're also a photographer, and you're working with me, and we did a session, and
you're hitting on my boyfriend.
It's off. No.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
I would never do that.
Wait,
I would also hit on your boyfriend.
It was just like weird.
We weren't
didn't
vibing.
really click.
We weren't
we didn't vibe. Whatever. And then you went to Baxter for these photos instead, and then you said how much you loved working with him, even after working with me, never posting about me, it wouldn't feel as awkward because I could sense it coming.
Yeah.
If I thought our session was amazing and I thought we did so good and we connected and I did everything that I could for you and then you did that, I would feel more hurt. Yeah. It would feel more personal. Sure. I would take it more personally
if it was a good
felt
thing,
like I served you well and I did a really good job. So I think that's a really hard.
That makes sense. Yeah.
It's a really hard thing because I think from the get-go, when I am booking my sessions, I can tell if someone's going to be for me through their emails.
Yeah.
Right.
Because when I send out my pricing structure, if they come back to me and say, well, my budget is this,
you're not the right fit for me.
I love that email.
Can you do this for me instead? If I don't want this, can you do that? There's a lot of things that context matters. Like 100%. There's a lot of things that can happen during the planning process that you're like, I've been in this long enough where I'm like, if you like my work, you pay my price.
Correct.
Yeah. I want to build my relationship with you. So I want our session to be really great from the beginning. And I can tell, like, I don't think I've ever treated my clients like a dollar amount. I would never want to do that.
No.
My business has honestly never really been about the money for me. Like I genuinely love being a photographer.
Right.
But it does support me and it pays my bills. So I still have to like be paid for my time, which is a gray area, I think, for a lot of people because it's hard. It's taboo to talk about. Like, my job is so fun. How do you get paid for that? But it's like, it's worth a lot. And those stories are worth a lot. And
people don't see the time.
The ROI. There's so much time.
That's
the editing
about
and the coming in at night on a weekend, doing like you don't have the 8 to 5 luxury. And then you're capturing their perfect day the way they want them to if it's your wedding day. And people don't understand what goes in the emotion that goes into it for you as the photographer.
Sacrifice,
and what you're missing of your children that day. And you took a set. Like, can't you just come on a Saturday? Right. Well, yeah, I can, but I'm going to miss a whole day with my family and potentially my spouse if he works all week, right?
Mm-hmm. So then the other thing too is it comes back to communication.
Yeah.
So from the get-go in all of our jobs, like you're communicating these things, these needs, being transparent with each other, talking about what the expectation is, setting the line of expectation, especially in terms of like what I do. It's like, this is what you're going to get. This is what's happening, whatever, expect this from me. So I don't know. I guess there's like a little bit of
it's a fine line.
It's a fine 100%. Line and it's, for sure.
And this is a small town. So if you're an entrepreneur in Green Bay, there's a chance that if you stop working with someone, you're still going to see them.
Yeah. 100%.
At Target or Walmart or Packy Game or but
as long as it ends, even if it ends, but ends in good, right? Right. And even then, like I'm not the type of person. I'll be like, if I see you at Target and I'll be like, F you, Mandi. Like, what are you doing? I'll be like, hey, Mandi, like, how's it going? Like, I'm not that type of person, right? Like, if I see a past client, I'm like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah, I can say in my 6 years, there's been one time where I didn't want to run into somebody that was a past client. And 5 years later, I ran into him at Taza, actually. Oh. 5 years later. And you know what I did? I was like, hey, how are you? Mm-hmm. And that person was not kind to me. Yeah. They were not nice to me. They were horrible to me, actually. Mm. And I still was like, you know what? I have two things I can do here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can make them so uncomfortable because I rose so high above them. And I can make them realize I'm doing really well. Yeah. And what they did wasn't even a blip on my radar now. Yep. Mm-hmm. And I've had it happen to me twice in 6 years. Okay. And when you have over 100 partners, at usually the duration for over a year. Mm-hmm. So I would say in the 10 year I've been around, probably over 400 businesses that I've worked with potentially, right? Easy. That's not too bad.
No.
That's a high success rate.
But it's all in how you decide to handle it. Exactly. I have to email a dentist this week, my dentist. I'm switching dentists because I have a new dental partner. So I'm not staying with my old dentist. And some people might call that, like, I don't know. What's the word for dentist hopping? That's not a thing.
Cheating.
I'm cheating. But I'm not. That person was a business partner for a season. I went to him for a season. He didn't renew with me because it wasn't right in his business. Great. I stayed with him. Now I'm partnering with a new dentist. It's my season to go visit them. Yep. I will call him And I will tell him, hey, dude, listen, exactly like he called me and say, it's not personal, it's business. And I know you understand this because it wasn't the right time for you to stand with me. Yep. It's not the right time for me to stand. I appreciate everything you've done. I'll always talk highly about you in the community. And that season has shifted. Yep. And it's not a fun phone call to make.
No.
But I would rather make that phone call than have him see me check in at a new dentist and I haven't even made the call.
Correct.
Right.
And now
communication.
He's like, wow, you pulled your records and you didn't even call?
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm not that person. We're not those people. So I think those are key things it kind of goes back to burning the bridges. But as an entrepreneur and learning along the way, no matter what happens, 90% of the time, it's probably not anything that we did.
Right.
It's the person that's receiving, that's having a bad day, got some bad news, whatever it is. So how are we going to handle that client that owes us money? How are we going to handle that client that was awful to us? Mm-hmm. How are we going to handle that client that said some bad things about our integrity in the community when we run into them?
Yeah.
And those are things that help us evolve as entrepreneurs.
Yeah. Correct. You have to.
It's not easy by any means, but it's doing the right thing in the hard times.
Well, go ahead.
No, you go.
Let's say starting off, right? You take everything with like any job, any client, anything, right? And you like everything is life or death. It feels like, right?
Scarcity.
Like, so when a person drops you and you're like, oh my gosh, like how am I going to do X, Y, Z this week? Like, clearly I don't know what I'm doing, even though you've got 5 or 6 other clients early on. They're like, you're great. Like, here's my money. And you're just like, but that one, like, why am I hanging my whole business in the beginning on one client, right? Where now, like you said, you go along, you evolve, you learn, you have confidence in knowing what you do and who you are as a business owner and as a person, to then be like, okay, like you want to move on, that's fine. Best of luck. Like here's my info. You know where to find me. And I hope whoever the new person is that's doing your stuff, that it works out and your story's told, or your, whatever, your business is promoted or your family's captured. Great. And I wish you the best of luck.
I think on both ends, like just being graceful with that. Like, just like we make mistakes in our business.
Absolutely.
Clients make not mistakes, but they make choices, and they, we can be transparent and we can be honest and open with them and give grace where that is, because all in all, at the end of the day, we're running a business. So not everybody is going to always choose that, because just like our seasons change, like my clients' seasons change.
100%. Yeah. They
could really love that newborn session in their home, but then a year later, they maybe want a fall family session and I'm not available. There are so many things. Everybody's always shifting.
Correct.
So being graceful in your business, I think, is really crucial in finding success in your business, because whether it's a person that has mentored you for years and years and years and they've taught you all the ins and outs to your business, or a parent that has given you some type of tool to be able to really succeed in your business, you are the person that's running your business. And when you can walk through your business with grace and go through the seasons, and even if someone out there is doing you wrong, you still carry yourself with the integrity that your intention is, that's really important, because that speaks volumes.
100%. I had somebody recently, you talk about like being with the right people at the right time. Another photographer in town reached out to me and they were saying, hey, I've been working with this client. Like, it's kind of a little bit outside of the niche that I work in. It was more like lifestyle and clothing and apparel. And they were like, this is not my jam. They're like, I know you do this. They're like, normally I don't pass off a client, but they're like, would you at least talk to them? They're like, you might be a better fit than I am. And I thought that was really fascinating, because it was a younger business owner that I was like, I feel like if anything, you need the business more than I do. But I was like, they were like, it's not really my jam. I think you can serve them better. If you want them, you can have them, type of thing. And I was like,
which is amazing.
And that was the first time that had happened. And I was like, oh, okay, thank you. Sure. And I had the conversation. I was like, yeah, I think this will work. But I still think back to the person being like, yep, like for them recognizing, number one, in their business, like this is not a good fit for me, but I know somebody that I think would. And I've done that a couple of times. I still get people randomly like, would you do maternity photos? I'm like, no, but I know someone that's phenomenal at them. And I always pass your name. And I'm always like, I'm not afraid to do that, right? Like I'll quickly tell people if it's something that I feel like either A, I want to do, or I'm qualified to do, and be like, not me. I know great people that can do that, right? Type of thing. And sometimes I don't know why people sometimes are like, nah, like I'm sorry, I don't know anybody. I'm like, best of luck. I'm like, like.
Well, it's community over competition at the end of the day.
100%.
That's a term used everywhere all the time, especially within entrepreneurship, community over competition. When you're in the same community as other people in the same industry as you. Sometimes it's just a, hey, I'm not available, but these people are.
Yeah.
It's a quick connection, sending the way to hopefully allow that person that you care about to find the right fit for them.
Correct.
And it's really just rising above it and being
and creating that camaraderie. Like, hey, listen, I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader.
Yeah.
I want to feed my family and I want to be a successful business owner too. But there's enough people in Brown County and the surrounding areas that need our services that there doesn't have to be a scarcity mindset. It can be in a mindset of abundance.
Yes.
And I've done it with my sister publication across town. She's incredible at events.
Yeah.
I am not an event person. I hate events. So when I meet with a business and they're like, we love the idea of events, I'm like, great, you need to talk to her. Let me connect you with her because she is amazing. If you want more social media stuff, that's more my jam.
Right.
Like I'll do it for you. There's another magazine in town that's not affiliated with us at all. And she does an incredible job with like grand openings and open houses. And like, I kind of jokingly say, she's more like your Tinder. She's going to feature you and date you for a minute. And then she's going to move on to the next one.
Yeah.
And with me, you're in a relationship,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
But oddly enough, we don't have that reciprocity between the two of us, right? Because I don't want somebody that thinks I'm going to go do those things for them because they heard somebody that owns a magazine does them.
Right.
Well, that is somebody, but it's not me.
Correct.
So don't put that on me. So I think that's a great like recap of today's topic.
For sure.
Is community over competition. And it's that way with siblings. It's that way in our families. It's that way in our jobs. I mean, I know many other area directors that I want to be better at, but I'm still cheering for them to be the best too.
100%.
I don't want them to fall down for me to succeed.
Correct.
Yeah.
So what can we do in our community to support those up and coming entrepreneurs, even if they're in our industry?
Yeah.
And we take it as a mindset of abundance in our industry. Like, hey, for me, if there's more print magazines around, guess what that means? Print's not dead.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. So I'm going to take it as an abundance mindset and know what value I bring to the table and stand firm on it.
Yep.
Love it.
Yeah.
Sounds like a
love
great
that.
way to wrap it up.
But there's a soapbox that I was standing on today, but yeah.
I think it's great.
You looked cute doing it.
Oh, did I? Thanks.
You had a very
sleep.
unique way of communicating that to us.
Great
Mandi.
news that we are not video podcasting today.
I love it.
So
I love it. Love it.
thanks so much for listening. We appreciate it as always, having you have us on, whether it's in your car, in your kitchen, in your living room. And hopefully we can provide some insight into entrepreneurship for you.
I love it.
Thanks for listening.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.